Farmers say we love the alcohol, la 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 la. Just line them up and we will drink them all, la 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 la. But my mother always said, if you want to drink all day, you best start in the morning, son, 'cause that's the Irish way. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every other mother will agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every mother must agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me, and you and me, and you and me. Let there be whiskey.
Hey, everybody! I hit the right button that time. Welcome to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Chris.
I'm Russ.
And this is episode 266.
266, back in the virtual nerd basement. One and all, welcome back. It is a cold day in Detroit, but hopefully it's getting warmer. The weather report is saying that it's going to be getting warmer this week, and
It'd be above freezing for highs every day.
Yeah, that doesn't help me at all. I was painting today at work. The paint, it was like painting with pudding.
I was going to say, don't you have to wait till it gets to a certain, because you're not in a climate controlled thing. Doesn't the paint require a certain temperature to actually adhere well?
Yes, there is it does have there is an extreme low, which is basically just barely above freezing, before the paint will not cure properly, or will not dry or cure properly. Thankfully, we are rarely in the studio. We are rarely below freezing.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when, there are times when I can see my breath in the studio. Times when it's it's as cold as a walk-in freezer or walk-in refrigerator,
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, rarely, if ever, if it gets below freezing, I go home, man. I'm not. That's fucking. If it gets below 32 degrees, I'm I'm not working in these conditions. This is ridiculous. And I don't think anybody, we're pretty much all now and go.
Yeah.
Or sit in front of, we sit in front of a space heater and do something, that we can do in front of the space heater. But yeah, no, I was painting. I was actually painting the float you're going to be riding on. The one that Paulie is renting for the old shillelagh, and just throwing some green paint up there, getting things all St. Patrick-y. And but yeah, the paint was like painting with pudding. It was just this really kind of viscous, thick, kind of, the viscosity of the paint just was was ridiculous. So it's a pain in the ass at this time of the year. Now, all I need is another 10 degrees, and it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, it's pretty rough, And it was just fucking cold, man. It's just cold. What's the color of green beer? Puke? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a
green
fan.
Beer is almost always just shit beer.
Yeah, it is.
It's always like Miller Lite or Bud Light or something. It's the cheapest beer that they can get a hold of that they just dump green food coloring into.
Yep. And it's horrible.
Yeah. And it's got to be specialized food coloring, because the beer is already yellow. It's already like a golden yellow.
Yeah.
So
just add some blue food coloring and you got it.
You might, yeah, that's probably it. You just add a little bit of blue food coloring and you got it. So it was fucking cold today, and now I've got to, because the temperature is so low, it takes a long time for the paint to dry, and then so today or tomorrow I'm going to have to go back and do second coats because everything's taking so long to dry. Excuse me. Oh. And
knee on, man.
I've been sleeping well, so but at least that's getting taken care of, and we're moving forward. I found out today that we're going to be making things for the Cherry Festival in Traverse City. We're going to be making a float. We've done a float for them over the years several times, and it's always a smaller float that we have to send in pieces and then assemble when we get there.
Okay, I was going to ask, does somebody have to drive that down 75 just pulling a big old float all the way up to Traverse.
Basically, like I said, we have the deck is tractored up there, is basically, put on a flatbed truck
Mhm.
and taken up there, and then I believe, and then the rest, all the pieces and parts are put into a box truck, and then we take it up, we go up there, and then we assemble it. And I found out today that I'll probably be one of the guys that goes up to Traverse City for that.
Okay.
So I may be in Traverse City for the 4th of July.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's right around the 4th of July. So yeah.
Okay.
Do know.
That's cool.
So
it's not a bad time to be up there.
I haven't been to Traverse City in decades. So
It's been a couple years for me, but
yeah. But the basement has finally come together. The repair in the basement, everything. John made it all super nice and everything down there. And we now have a cat. John, my housemate, he asked us if it was okay if he took possession of a year-old cat that needed a new home, and we were like, well, yeah, sure, I guess. So it's going to be probably about a month of getting the dogs used to a new furry friend. I mean, Dresden is just like, yay, more friends. Cool. Ferris is more like, I don't know about this.
Dresden
Because
can
it's
lick
more
a
or less-
cat and just like one lick and the whole cat is slimed. Just...
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I think this cat has had a bit of a weird life, like a, I don't know if it's been traumatic or not, but we'll see. I met him today. He seems real chill, but he's only been here for 24 hours, so we'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Hermes.
Okay. He's gonna be a quick little fucker.
I don't know. So he's a long haired cat. He's all big fluffy fucking long haired cat. So we'll see. Other than that, kind of typical week, just kind of getting by, just dreaming of the warmth, dreaming of the warmth. I keep seeing like pictures and texts come up on my feed from the Bay Area Ren Fair right now. So I'm just kind of missing my friends down there and missing the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Hoping to maybe go down for a visit in a couple months. We'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, my week was pretty typical for what it's been. Not a lot going on. We did have our game on Friday night, which was
a blast.
Was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Little
motherfuckers.
A little different.
For those of you guys who didn't see the show, you should watch it. Our mage Euchariah accidentally got cursed with a enfeeblement and basically an enfeeblement curse that enfeebled his mind and his body. So his mind and body both, his strength and intelligence both dropped down to 3, and he had to role play that, and then we had to.
Which he did a good job.
He did. See, mine. I was going to talk to you about this. So now at 3 intelligence, do you think he would have still been verbal?
Just barely.
Because, like Grog
was 6.
I think is one of the better examples. Grog, the way Travis played him at a 6 was a big idiot. But he could speak and he could reason. Not well, but he could reason. He was just really stupid. But I mean, once you're getting down to the under 5 and 4 and 3, you're at animal level kind of, or toddler baby kind of level of communication. So I was thinking that maybe even at 3, he might not even have been verbal.
With the new system, the way that it is, because in the new system, you can actually even go below that. You can go down to 1 on the chart. But I would say that he was still able to verbalize things, but not well. He was speaking like a toddler because that's really where he was mentally.
Yeah.
He was basically mentally and physically like a toddler, but at a 3 strength and a 3.
Yeah. And the fact that he's like less than 3 feet. Tall, so, or roughly right around 3 feet tall. I don't know, but all right. So I mean, it was just kind of like I was thinking about that. I was like, I mean, how how dumb is, or what kind of levels of intelligence is 3, because like I said, animals are right around there,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not talking like magic ones. I mean, like talking like regular animals at 2 and 3 and things like that. So I mean, like I said, Merrick Harris's horse is at 6. His intelligence is 6. If he could physically, if his vocal cords could form words, he could probably speak.
Yeah, let's see. A wolf has a 3 intelligence.
A wolf. Okay. Well, you also got to think about too. I mean, animals they think differently from humans too. So, all right. Anyway, but yes, so we had to leave the dungeon to get him treated because we didn't have the proper spells. You did graciously, as the dungeon master did, we did happen to find a spell, one of the spells we needed in a scroll form in the next room, but unfortunately our cleric rolled too low and failed the spell check. And so then, yes, we had to leave, and we had to pony up a bunch of money to the guards because they are supposed to get a quarter of what we, essentially acquire. And but they were also able to cast the spells appropriately to bring him back, because it was one of those moments too where some of my teammates there were ready to just strap our magic user to the back of the cleric and then sally forth. Like, no, this is a bad idea. And
Renee just said, she said the actual cost for the spell she thought was reasonable.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's normal. Those were normal.
100 gold per level of spell plus components.
Right. Renee was 100% ready to move forward. Didn't matter that our mage, our glass cannon there was out of commission. But they did thankfully listen to my words of wisdom, and we went and got it treated. Thankfully, we didn't have to go all the way back to town. We just had to go and talk to the wardens that guard that tower.
Even going back to town wouldn't have been horrible. I mean, it's only it would
half a day's ride.
It would cost you a day.
Yeah, it just would. And I mean, if anything, if we went back to town, we probably could have restocked on a few things and maybe even picked up some more things that we might have needed. But
Grimbolt might have found some hand crossbow bolts that he's starting to run a little bit lower on, although he was able to get some at the.
He was able to get some. He got 20, a pack of 20 or something like that from the wardens. But still, I just was like, I guess I was just really frustrated by the loss of our forward momentum. The fact we had to turn around, go the fuck back out, fight those like wraith.
But you
warriors at the front.
But you did get some good info because you also found someone else who was also in that same state as Ugariah.
We did.
You had him healed as well, and he was able to give you some info about the dungeon.
Correct. I mean, so we did. I mean, it did end up being useful in the long run. But it was an excellent example of something that can happen in a dungeon. You can put on a pretty spectacular magic item, a mage's robe that looks pretty awesome, and then realize, oh shit, I've just been cursed.
Yeah, now just wait until I actually throw like a robe of the Magi in there.
Yeah, right.
And watch Ugariah go,
I'm not putting it on.
Nope.
You put it on. I'm not putting it on. No, you put it on. I'm not putting it on. Fuck you, man. I was a drooling idiot for like 3 hours. No, you're the only one that can wear it. I don't care. Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. So yeah, but the game was fun, and then we did we kind of went back to where we were, and we would continue to move forward a bit, and you ended it on a right before we roll for initiative kind of situation.
Well, maybe you don't know. You saw some forms moving in the distance.
Come on, man.
You guys found the elevator, an elevator down, took it down, fought a flesh golem, and then headed out some doors and started wandering through a section of what appeared to be an unexplored section of the dungeon.
Yeah. So it's pretty badass. I mean, I'm having a great time. So that's what it's about, right?
Mhm.
I was explaining Dungeons and Dragons to one of our volunteers today at work. She had never, she's a woman in her mid-30s, and she knew what the name was of Dungeons and Dragons, but she wasn't particularly aware of what D&D is, and I was explaining to her about how it's improved and how it's gotten a lot more popular over the last 10 years and stuff like that.
See, you said that demon game. Oh my god.
Yeah. It was one of those kind of things. She's like, "What? I don't under. It's a video game?" I said, "No, it's a tabletop game." And she wasn't judgy or anything. She just didn't know fuck all about it, And it's always one of those things that's kind of funny and kind of weird, when you encounter somebody that doesn't know anything about something that you're very passionate about, and you're like, how can you not know anything about this? But she
this has been my life for so many years. Right. How do you not know anything?
Right. And it's like, I mean, Dungeons and Dragons is a little more specific. It's not like, it's a little weirder when you encounter somebody that like hasn't seen a single Marvel movie or has never seen a Star Wars film, or or even somebody who has never seen Star Trek. It's like something that's been in the cultural been a cultural like phenomenon for 40 years or 60 years or whatever it's been, and somebody that just doesn't know anything about it. Like, I mean, honestly, Superman has been around since 1938. We're approaching like 100 years essentially. I mean, in another 22, it's
23, it'll be 85.
23, yeah, 23, it'll be 85 years. So, holy shit, right? I mean, hell, I remember Superman's 50th anniversary, but yeah, it's going to be 85 years that Superman's been around. And 90% of the people in this country could pretty much say, if you said, "Hey, what's Superman's real name?" they'll rattle off Clark Kent, because
your girlfriend couldn't.
My girlfriend couldn't. She could actually. She gave it some thought, and she was able. Clark, and I'm like, oh man. So she was able to, after a bit, but it was weird. And she didn't know Batman's name. So I mean,
that's what it was. It was Batman.
But it was both. I tested her on both of them, but like I said, Stella's a little bit of a different.
She's a nerd in her own way. She's got her dance and art and
right. She's very specific about her things, and that's one of those things, like. And I've encountered this with her. I mean,
she can tell you everything that you want to know about any character in Harry Potter.
Yes, exactly. And then also, like, she is amazed often when we'll be listening to watching something or listening, and some classical music will come on, and she'll rattle off it. She'll know exactly what it is, and she'll be amazed that I don't know it. And I'm just kind of like, well, of course I don't know it. I mean, it's classical music. Nobody who listens to classical music anymore, Now, a lot of people do, but it's not like it's not like there's an award ceremony for best sonata, that was ever, or whatever. But there are award ceremonies for best rap single and best pop singer performance.
Rock album and
best rock album, best, these kinds of things. There are, award ceremonies for best sitcom and best, best actor in a movie and all these different things, best leading man, whatever. Those are the things that, people more so in our culture pay attention to, particularly in American culture. So it's a little different when she's like, "How can you not know this?" And I'm like, "Well, how do you not know, who Luke Skywalker is?" Yeah, it's just. So when I do encounter somebody that doesn't know anything about something in particular, it just blows my, that is in the common, culture and common nomenclature. It just blows my mind when that happens. So, so honestly, hey guys, if you're listening, if you want to chime in, send us a note. about like when did that kind of thing happen to you? When did you encounter a situation where you had where somebody was like didn't know anything about something you're really like passionate about? I'd love to hear that kind of thing. What was your reaction? So
Yeah,
that would be cool.
That would be cool. So what are you drinking?
Today I got myself a there's not a whole lot new at the liquor store. I maybe have to go to a different one or something. Cider and mead wise right now that is striking my fancy. There was just a few things like, I think I tried that. Blah, 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 blah. So I got a Blake's variety pack, and I think this one might have been sitting in the cooler for a while because this looks more like it was their fall flavors. It's mainly their fall flavors. This was
the
one
caramel
of
apple.
Caramel apple. It had caramel apple. It had flannel mouth. It had apple pie, and I think their pumpkin one, their like roasted pumpkin one, which I wasn't a big fan of, and I tried it before. So I figured I'd kind of revisit these. The caramel apple cider from it's the Kinder Cider series from Blake's. Cultivating stronger communities. This bright green apple hard cider is dripping with caramel sweetness and kindness inspired by our passion for growing fresh produce on our farm. This Kinder cider is made in support of urban farming initiatives. And I've been of a mixed opinion of this in the past. I feel like it doesn't taste like, it tastes a little too like false, like too manufactured as a caramel flavor.
Mm-hmm.
In the past. I don't not like it. I mean, I do like it, but there's a part of me that when I first had it, it was like, it doesn't really taste like caramel to me. It tastes, like a kind of
like someone trying to
synthetic.
make something, something trying to make something that tastes like caramel without ever having tasted caramel.
Right, exactly. And I'm getting more used to it though. I mean, I think it's been a little while since I've had it. It's still a good cider. I just wish it was they had nailed the caramel flavor a little bit better.
Yeah, like Renee said, it tastes fake. I'm not a huge fan of it. CD says he loves it, but he said he can only drink like one of those at a time. And that's one of the things. It is so super sweet.
Yeah,
it's like I feel a cavity form every time I just take a drink.
Chris is married to me. I feel like he goes through this on the daily. My conversation about, you don't know about this? What? So yeah. Let me see.
You're talking about the caramel.
So yeah, the caramel. It's good. Like I said, I like it, but at the same time, it is not. It does taste a bit. It does feel like it tastes manufactured, so or synthetic at the very least. So anyway, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a beer by Three Floyds. Now that they're here in Michigan, I'm finding a lot of their stuff. This one is their Irish style red ale. Since it's getting close to St. Patrick's Day, I figured an Irish red would be appropriate. It is called Brian Boru.
Brian Boru.
Brian Boru. Brian Boru, for those that don't know, was the first king of Ireland. He was the first one to unite all the tribes under one king. He's the one that built Castle Rock, which is one of the places I visited when I went to Ireland. It's an old building, has no roof anymore. They're basically trying to preserve it because it was built in, I think, 1108 was the year.
Okay.
And it's a really cool place up on top of a hill. You get that feeling of power just being there, and you got a view of everything around you. It's just really cool. Highly recommend going there if you get the chance. But this is it is a reddish beer. It has a nice color to it. It's a little cloudy. It's not overly clear. Mm-hmm. My smell is off a little bit because with the weather changing, I'm having sinus issues, but you get a lot of the caramel flavor, or not caramel, but the roasted notes from it, which is what you should get in an Irish red. So the flavor profile, there's no hops, which is good. That's it. There shouldn't be an overpowering amount of hops. You do get all the notes from the grains. It is kind of sweet, not overly sweet though. It has a bitter finish, not overly bitter, but kind of a mild bitter finish. Just kind of finishes dry. I like this. This is actually really good. I'm gonna give this. I'll give this 4 bottle caps. I really enjoyed this one. So yeah, if you can find it, Three Floyds, Brian Boru, definitely suggest it. There is something written here, but I can't read it because it's written in a weird font and it's really little. So, and my eyes ain't that good anymore. Like I could probably get it off my camera. I could see, take a picture of it, and then can I flip it? Oh, there we go. Born in Munster, Ireland, Brian Boru spent his life uniting the Irish tribes to become the first High King of Ireland. With a heavy dose of new and old world hops, which gives rise to notes of citrus, stone, and tropical fruit, we brewed this rich and full-bodied Irish-style red ale for him. So, they said they use a lot of hops. I don't get that. I don't get a lot of those flavors that they were talking about. Maybe a little bit of the stone fruit comes through. That might be some of that sweetness. But other than that, really, I'm not getting a lot of like I don't get a lot of citrus on it. But it could also be that my taste is a little bit off right now. So, yeah, CD, if you can find this, I would highly suggest checking it out. I really like this one. It is not a typical red, though. It's not quite as biscuity as a red. It's a lot, I'd say, brighter. It's got more of a brighter taste to it. So, which could be those hops coming through. But with that, I think we should move on.
Okay.
The Batman opened this weekend.
Yes, sorry. The Batman opened on Friday or Thursday, and it's been getting rave reviews since it opened. I've seen consistently good comments on Facebook, on Instagram. People are loving it, saying it's the best Batman movie ever. That it's the Batman movie we've all been wanting, all been needing. It's dark as all get out.
Yeah, I've heard it's the noir Batman. It's going to be more like that 40s detective style.
Yes, exactly. Very dark. But they're saying Pattinson did a great job. So awesome.
Running 134 million is what I saw
for the weekend.
Yeah,
that's great. Particularly still in this age of pandemic where we're still, a lot of people are still avoiding the movie theater.
Yep.
So yeah, I almost went and saw it Sunday night with John, and then
I almost went and saw it today. I'm thinking about maybe tomorrow.
I'm gonna work, and then I've got we're doing extra read-throughs of the play that I'm in because it is. I gotta sit back a little more. We're doing extra read-throughs and rehearsals because we had a really bad rehearsal on Sunday. So and we've only got one more rehearsal before we do the show. So we're doing some extra read-throughs and stuff. And so my week is kind of full.
Yeah.
But
I'm cornhole tomorrow night, but I think we're late. So I got time. Plus I haven't started yet. So I can still go at 1:00 and go see it and be home, be home by 5. Because it is a 3-hour movie.
3-hour film. Yeah, 3-hour movie. So for those of you who are preparing to go and see it, don't drink a lot before.
Or bring a Stadium Pal.
Yeah, Stadium Pal. Yuck. Nothing like strapping a bag of pee to your leg and a catheter and hoping to gods that it holds. Yucks.
I've heard it keeps your
then
leg warm in those outdoor stadiums.
what are you trying to do to me? All right. Oh yeah, the Batman's doing really well.
I haven't
Batman.
I haven't heard a lot. I've heard there's a bunch of like references and Easter eggs in there to other things.
Yep.
But I haven't seen it yet, and I am kind of looking forward to it. I definitely want to go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping it's going to be good.
Yeah, they're also talking that this could be like the beginning of a trilogy too. Pattinson said he had a great time playing the character, that the reaction has been well received. And so they're saying, yeah, it could potentially be the beginning of a new trilogy of Batman films.
A 3-hour movie. A 3-hour movie.
I'm all right with that, man. I like long movies. I'm okay with that.
It depends. For me, it's one of those things where I like a good film. And I have to say, even the Snyder cut of the Justice League did not feel like 4 hours long. And I expected to watch that in chunks, and I wound up watching the whole thing. But would I go to the movies to see a movie that long? Maybe not. I mean, when I can sit at my home and pause it and go take a piss, and then come back and play it again, and continue playing without missing anything, versus sitting in the theater where there is no pause button. That's a different thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But I tell you though, I still love going to the theater though. It's such a different experience than sitting at home, even with a big screen and a great sound system. Man, seeing a movie at the theater is really still very different, and I still appreciate it a great deal.
I do that theater CD. Actually, most of the theaters here now have alcohol that you can take into the theater.
Yep. Quite a few of them.
Yep. The AMC theaters here all have them. Because they had to keep up with the Imagines. Because a lot of people...
Right, yeah, Imagine they were the first ones in the area to have that.
Yep.
So, so yeah, go see the Batman. We'll do a proper, review of it when we both see it.
When you get the chance to actually see it.
Yeah. So we got to give you guys a chance to see it, because we don't like to do spoilery stuff.
Yeah.
See. So. Video game news. Years ago, about 9 years ago, there was a video game called The Wolf Among Us. It was done by Telltale Studios, which went under a number of years ago, a couple of years back. The Wolf Among Us was a video game based on the long-running comic book series. I thought I took care of that. It was a long-running series called Fables, and so they made this video game. Now it was a more of a storytelling video game. It wasn't an action kind of one, but they've made several other ones. They made Walking Dead games. They made 2 Batman games that were all very well received. But then the company pretty much went under. I don't know exactly why. I think maybe they overextended themselves or whatever. You can still play the games. The games are still available on Steam. Apparently, they just announced that after 9 years, a sequel to The Wolf Among Us, The Wolf Among Us 2, a Telltale series, will be coming out later this year. I'm excited. I played The Wolf Among Us. I played the first chapter, and then I found out, oh shit, you got to buy each consecutive chapter. How does this work? And I was kind of like, because I bought it for like $30 or something like that, and I was like, okay, then I figured this would be a full game. It was only the first chapter, and I kind of went, for $30, I only got the first chapter. How much are the next chapters? Now from what I understand, they weren't 30, but I was like, this is some horse shit here. You know, I was unhappy with that payment kind of thing. Now, the other games, from what I understand, the Batman games and the Walking Dead games were not microtransaction type of games.
They were not in that model.
No. So thankfully, but I am going to possibly go back and check into the original Wolf Among Us and see if it's still available. Maybe I can get it as a package deal or something. I do know I believe it was also ported over to the PlayStation video game systems. So I think the PS3 and or 4, I'm not sure. So graphically very cool. It was this kind of semi-animated, like a hand-drawn, yet also computer animated design, like kind of style. So it was pretty fucking cool. The story basically, or Fables itself, yeah, like I played it for 3.6 hours. I got through the first chapter in 3.6 hours. That's nothing for me.
Yeah. That's not $30 worth.
No, not at all. Now, the story of Fables is that the story like was it basically the fables of fairy tales and whatnot, and
like the Grimm's fairy tales.
The Grimm's fairy tales and stuff like that had come from the Fable lands and the mystical Fable lands, and they had taken refuge in the mundane world, in our world, in a kind of a hidden area of New York City. Through magic, they had basically been able to hide a small neighborhood where they all, a good portion of them lived. They were escaping basically a marauding
Dead
force.
broad off the table.
What?
Dead broad off the table. The Shrek reference. Dead broad off the table. It was, they had Sleeping Beauty on his table. It was, never mind. Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, I remember now.
Okay. Or Snow White was on his table.
Snow White. It was Snow White. So anyway, yeah, they go to New York, and through the use of magic and spells and stuff like that, they're able to live there, and they because they're escaping a marauding force that is taking over all the lands, the land of Oz and Wonderland and all these other different worlds. So the Snow White becomes the mayor, the vice mayor. The old King Cole is the mayor of Fabletown. The sheriff is Big B Wolf, or the Big Bad Wolf. So Big B Wolf. And he transforms, because he is a very powerful creature, he's able to transform into a human form. And the cool thing is too, is one of the cooler things in the comic books is that the more popular and well-known the character was, or your story was, the more popular and powerful the character was in the Mundy world. So the Big Bad Wolf, being a very well-known character in both Red Riding Hood and Three Little Pigs and whatever else, was extremely powerful.
It's the same concept of like American gods, where the gods were more powerful based on how many worshippers they had. Unbelief. Right,
exactly.
It's actually also from the Iron Druid series that I read. That's the same thing there, is that the more people that worship the certain gods, the more powerful they were.
Oh, okay, cool. So
or knew about them at least.
It seemed like the show Once Upon a Time on ABC was also sort of drew some inspiration from the show, or from this comic book. So it was a pretty cool. I mean, it was a pretty cool comic book. It ran for about 150 issues, and they are, from what I understand, bringing it back soon for a new miniseries or new like maxi series or whatever. And they're continuing the original numbering, which is kind of cool too. The other thing that was really cool is the same writer and I think the same artist worked on that comic for the entire time. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
You don't see that often.
It's very rare. Very rare. Bill Willingham and was the writer artist, I think, if I remember correctly. I'd have to look it up, but I have the entire run, and I even have a few of the graphic novels too. So you guys might want to check it out. The Wolf Among Us from Telltale Games. Keep an eye on Steam. You might want to check out the original game. It was pretty cool. They also did a companion kind comic book miniseries as well. That actually ran like 12 issues or something like two. So it was actually more of a maxi series, but a really cool game and a cool comic book. I'm going to check it out.
Cool.
Yeah. Also in video game news, there was this, it's kind of cute. There was this woman called the Skyrim Grandma. Have you ever heard of the Skyrim Grandma, Chris?
No, I have not.
She was a YouTube person, a YouTube streamer, that she was an elderly lady that played Skyrim and absolutely loved it and was really, really good at it. And ever since 11 started, she started playing Skyrim on her and putting it on her YouTube channel back in 11, and been sharing gameplay videos on a regular basis with a legion of adoring fans, like a massive amount of fans. She has merch, like t-shirts and stuff. And apparently on February 28th, her name is Shirley Curry. Shirley Curry. She revealed to viewers that she had suffered a stroke in her sleep on February 28th. Along with this update, she had somewhat alarming news to share in a wellness update with her fans. She had largely forgotten how to play Skyrim due to her stroke. She goes, Skyrim is giving me fits, my big game every day for years, and I wake up one morning and it's mostly gone. It's a scary situation. So fortunately, Curry confirmed that she was beginning therapy after giving viewers the rundown on what she had been up to since her stroke. Since then, she's been posting regularly, including some particularly uplifting content where she reveals a gift from Bethesda, some beautiful flowers. Showing off a bouquet of sunflowers, roses, and additional floral assortment, she beamed at the camera. I'm so proud of them and so thrilled that they would do something like this for me, said of Bethesda. Curry appears to be doing well despite her previous setbacks. In her latest vlog, posted on the 8th, she appeared in high spirits while addressing her grandkids, her viewers. She was all smiles while asking fans what they would like to see on her channel going forward while she waits for her memories to return to where they were before. Here's hoping Skyrim Grandma's recovery goes well and she's back to her favorite game world soon. Now, I think that's really sweet that Bethesda sent her flowers. You think they could have done a little more?
I was thinking that too.
I mean, they are an extremely rich company that was just purchased by Microsoft. And, maybe they could send her maybe a new rig or, I don't know, a bunch of stuff that maybe could be better than just a bouquet of flowers. I mean, she's an old lady, so maybe a bouquet.
Yeah, I just looked her up. She's 84, it looks like.
Yeah. Maybe a bouquet of flowers is all she kind of wanted.
Maybe 85 by now, because this one's from a year ago.
Yeah. But I do remember hearing about her, and I watched a few of her videos, and it was kind of adorable. It was kind of adorable watching this old lady play Skyrim.
This says
and look at you.
Somebody created her as a follower with a mod.
That's awesome. I can't do those kind of mods, I think, on my PlayStation. So,
yeah. What were you gonna say? Look at me
and look at you playing Skyrim for the first time. Yeah. This old lady's been playing it since 11, and you're 10 years. 11 years, and you're just getting to your first go around. How's it going? Have you played it all in the last couple of days?
I haven't played in the last couple of days. I kind of my elbow's been bugging me when I spend too much time on the computer, so I'm trying to give it some rest before I go back to work when I know that I'm going to have to be on the computer all the time. So that's one of the reasons I haven't done it. Been watching a lot of TV lately. I actually started up a bunch of new shows.
Well, you said you were watching Letterkenny today.
Yeah, so Renee and I finished Castle. So we actually did finish Castle, so that's done. So we've moved on.
That's a slog, man. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah, it's 8 seasons.
Yeah.
So
over 100 episodes.
Letterkenny did drop a new episode today for International Women's Day, which, by the way, it is International Women's Day, which is not. I didn't know they
did a new episode.
Yeah, it's a new episode. That's what I was saying. I was watching the new episode of Letterkenny. That's why I texted you, because they did a whole episode. You get to meet Professor Trisha.
Oh no!
Yes.
Motherfucker. Who is she?
She's Professor Trisha.
No, I mean, like, who plays her? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know the actress's name. She's smoking.
Chris, you gotta bring this information to me. All right. So I guess I know what I'm doing right after we get done with the show.
It was a cute episode. It's basically the women and men are separated for the whole show, and they go back and forth between the two. It's
Yep. Episode 10 or season 10, episode 7 special.
Yep.
You know, and that's the thing. Each season, though, they have had a special episode, usually tied to a holiday.
Yep.
One was Christmas, another one was Valentine's Day, one was Halloween, if I remember correctly.
Oh no, they don't even have it on IMDb as an episode.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Doesn't matter. I'll watch it. Maybe I'll recognize it. Who knows? So what did you think?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. There was definitely some funny moments. There was definitely some cute moments, some touching moments, but mostly it's Letterkenny funny.
Right.
So there is no little intro speech in this one. It just goes right into the show. So right. It was very entertaining.
All right, cool. Letterkenny, guys, check it out. If you are not watching Letterkenny, you're missing the fuck out. Some of the best stuff to come out of Canada since maple syrup. It's unbelievable.
Yep. So watch that. I've also been watching. Renee and I just started The Expanse.
Oh, babe, I know CD would be happy to hear that.
Yep.
CD, they're watching The Expanse. Are you happy now?
Nice. Nice. Yeah, we've only watched 2 episodes so far, but we're already enjoying it. We'll be getting more and more into it as it goes along. The other one that we've been watching is Our Flags Mean Death, the new Taika Waititi show on HBO Max.
Oh yeah,
the pirate spoof thing. We've only watched the first 2 episodes of that.
They've conquered vampires. Now it's time to take over pirates.
Yeah, and
it's TV.
It's cute. It's I think it's pretty good. We'll see how it goes. I'm waiting for them to actually meet Blackbeard right now because Taika Waititi is the one that's supposed to be playing Blackbeard. So awesome. I want to see that. And then along with that, we're also watching the new show on NBC called The Endgame.
Oh, with
Marina
Baccarin.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you like Marina Baccarin? Yeah.
Is it Baccarin? I thought it was Baccarin.
I think it's Baccarin, but
okay. I'm
what do you think
enjoying
so
it.
far?
I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
I find it to be an entertaining show. She is a brilliant villain. She's super smart and
brilliantly beautiful.
Oh yeah, she is. But she's also, and she wears in the first episode, she's got an amazing dress on. That blue dress that was in the previews. That thing is just so freaking cool. But she's brilliant, and she's another one of those villains that they're making her a relatable villain. You can relate to what she's doing. They're telling her backstory along with the actual story that's going on. Now, do I see this going more than one season? No, I don't see how they can do that with the way that it's set up right now.
Okay.
But I could also see it turning into something like a Blacklist type show. So it's really entertaining. If you like action type shows like that, like the cops and like if you like Blacklist, I think you'd like this show.
Okay.
And then along with that, another show that I just started that I am really loving actually is Pennyworth.
Really? Okay.
Now, it's another show like Gotham where it does not exist inside of the actual Batman universe.
Right.
it is a completely alternate universe where, you know, Thomas Wayne is a spy, and so is Martha. So it's in that type of thing. But yeah, it overall though, it's an entertaining show, and I'm really enjoying it. Of course, the bad guys in it is the Court of Ravens, or the Raven Court. Or no, the Raven
It's
Society.
the Court of Owls.
It's the Court of Owls. It's the Raven Society. That's what it is.
Okay.
So it's still another bird society, but it all takes place in London, at least so far. It's been I've only watched the first 3 episodes of that as well, but it's extremely entertaining, and I really like the show.
Okay, cool.
So all of those shows I highly recommend that people check out. We're also keeping up on like The Rookie and Last Week Tonight.
Yeah, I just noticed the Rookie has a new episode this week, which is great.
Yep, we just watched it yesterday.
Yeah, God, it's such a good show.
It really is.
I gotta say, man, it's one of the better cop procedural shows that come out in the last few years. It's a perfect, and Nathan Fillion, he's got to be an executive producer on the show, because it's one of those perfect blends of comedy and pathos and drama and heart. It's got it all, you know, and just a perfect blend.
They always have like those goofy calls at the beginning that are just so absurd and off the wall. And I'm betting that every single one of those is an actual call that came into the LAPD.
I guarantee it. They're all like, remember the one where they had they responded to a birth announcement, and somebody loaded like these confetti cannons, but they loaded them with like C4 or something like that. So like everybody at the party got not only doused with high velocity glitter confetti, but also like the windows blew out of the place, that kind of thing. And that totally,
even this one
looks like something they do.
Watch this week's, because it's another one that it's a crazy thing that I'm like, yep, that really happened.
Okay, I'll be sure to check it out. On a similar note, the 911 shows are also very similar in kind of feel. It doesn't quite have the same kind of like Nathan Fillion charm, but in 911 Lone Star, which takes place in Austin, Texas, you got Rob Lowe is the show lead, so you kind of have his kind of energy, which is kind of similar. He's kind of this likable, handsome guy. And then 911 that takes place in LA does seem to be a little bit more serious, but
then you got Reno 911.
That's a whole different game. That's a whole different. I keep seeing commercials for their show on the Roku channel, on the Roku stuff, because they've been doing new episodes of Reno 911.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. You can watch the old ones, I think, on the Peacock, but because pretty much all the comedy stuff is on Peacock. But
because I think NBC owns and Comcast owns Comedy Central.
I believe you're correct. So, but yeah, Comedy Central, and on the Peacock has Comedy Central stuff and Sci-Fi Channel stuff.
Yep, I knew they owned Sci-Fi Channel.
So yeah, Reno 911 had some really funny shit, man. I gotta say,
I never really got into it.
Man, there was some hilarious crap on that show. But the end game is on the Peacock, which is cool. Yes. Also, Joe versus Carol started this week, which is the dramatic
no interest.
Yeah, the dramatic show, the dramatized story of the war between Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin. There's a part of me that kind of wants to watch it, mainly because I kind of want to see.
I didn't watch.
I want to see King. I kind of want to see like the performances, see how well the performances do. Some of these shows can also be seen on Hulu too. So
yeah, the Endgame's on Hulu.
Correct. A lot of NBC stuff is still on Hulu, but it's also on the Peacock. So.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about this before the show, and Renee and I are trying to finish up Discovery so that we can also watch Picard, which just came out last week.
Correct. I also want to kind of get caught up on
we started trying to watch Discovery last night, and the app kept freezing, and it would just start spinning. And it's the only one that does it. We can watch Hulu all night long without anything. We can watch Netflix all night long with nothing. We can watch Peacock all night long with nothing. We can watch HBO, nothing. Turn on Paramount, we either have it freeze up or it'll sit there and constantly buffer. And it was buffering every like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And we're like, nope, we can't watch it like this. We're done.
For me, I don't have too many problems like on my phone, my tablet. Like Stella pulls up the Paramount app because she likes to watch Frasier when she goes to bed. And she'll fall asleep to the dulcet tones. And I've talked about this before. She falls asleep to the dulcet tones of Kelsey Grammer. But we and for the most part, most of the time, it's not a problem. On my television, it's a real pain in the ass. Like, I don't know why you can't get the Paramount app through the PlayStation. It's not available on the PlayStation network. I got to go through my television, which fine. Okay. I have a smart TV. That's fine. But also my dog when he was a puppy, destroyed the remote, and I had to get an off-brand remote. I need to just go get a new Samsung branded remote. And so every time though I want to back out of something, I can't. The remote won't let me back into a previous menu. So if I can put it on Star Trek and just let it go. But then if I want to back out of that, I got to close the app completely and reopen the app. And it's kind of a pain in the ass. As much as I like the Paramount app in that it has a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of movies. It's got all the Star Trek stuff. It's got a lot of really, good stuff. It also, the app itself is just crapola.
Well, and that's the thing. The CBS app was shit beforehand. It was the shittiest app of all of the apps that were out there. Correct. And when they rebranded it with Paramount, I don't think they did anything to the app itself. I think they just changed the
Correct.
logo on it, and that's it. It's still the same piece of shit app underneath.
Yeah, I tend to, honestly, if I'm going to watch stuff on the Paramount app, I'll watch it here at my computer while I'm gaming or something, something that I can kind of do a little bit of both, watch it. But I'm just scrolling through it right now. I'm just like, just add it. Underworld, all the Underworld movies, Pompeii, like here, Hancock, A League of Their Own, the 355 streaming only on Peacock, Step Brothers, Scarface, American Graffiti, Backdraft, and because I was also looking at all the things that are leaving Netflix soon too. See, now we're really starting to see the streaming wars, where things are leaving the old services that they used to be in, and now they are going to all of these other streaming services that they were supposed to be in originally, or whatnot. And we're seeing that now, and I'm just like, yep, this is what you gotta do. We're gonna have to have 12 fucking different streaming apps if you want to see everything that you want to see.
And then everyone that left cable because it was too expensive are going to be paying the exact same amount of money just to 15 different services to get to be able to see all the shows that they want to see, which is stupid.
Somebody, right, it's very stupid. And then somebody is going to come up with some kind of app that is going to put them all together.
Well, and that's the thing. Then there's going to be somebody that comes along and goes, hey, we can bundle all these together, and you got fucking cable again.
Yeah, I got cable again. Yeah. I'm still not paying quite what I paid on cable when I was paying for cable. Because I was paying for cable.
I think I'm pretty damn close now.
I'm getting closer. But
especially with like Netflix raising their prices every 3 months now.
Yeah. But I was paying for cable, and then I was also paying for Netflix and I think Hulu. And then I finally was like, fuck this, man. And I dumped cable. And for a little while, for a minute, I was saving money because I was paying like $220 every month for cable television and high-speed internet. And I dropped it down to like $110 or something like that, or $120, saved like $80-90. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm still paying a little bit for Netflix and Hulu, but now then you get Amazon Prime, you get Disney Plus, and you get HBO Max, and you get, now the Peacock is free through my cable subscription, but I also have Paramount Plus, and so it's, and on every single one of these streaming apps, there's something that I want to watch that's only on that app.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy.
Yep.
The Star Trek stuff on Paramount. I could, as much as I like what's on the Paramount app, I could do without it. If it didn't have, if all the Star Trek things were going to pretty much only going to be on Paramount, I'd probably say, you know what, I can get all these movies and a lot of this stuff I can get elsewhere. But nerp.
Yep. So.
First world problems.
Yep. Exactly.
What else? So I picked up Horizon Forbidden West the other day. I haven't played it yet. I haven't even taken the wrapper off it, but I do have it. And as soon as I get into that, it's going to be a little while before I get into it. But as soon as I get into that, I'm sure I'm going to be reviewing.
Yeah, I saw that GameStop's supposed to have another drop of PlayStation 5s with the disc drive, which is the one I want.
You definitely get the disc drive. Don't get the other
one. They're supposed to have a drop on Friday morning, I think. I think they're going to give their like members first crack at, which I am a member of GameStop. So
cool. I got mine at Meijer when I got mine a year ago.
You got lucky and heard that there was some coming in and just happened to go up there early in the morning. And
well, I went to one and then I found out that they didn't have any, and then the guy at the counter said, I think they've got some more at the 12 and Mound. So I ran, like just fucking flew over there, and I was able to get one. So but I love it. I love my PlayStation. It's fucking great. So yeah, Horizon Forbidden West, I had to buy the launch edition, which is the only one they had, and it was $70. So I'm wondering if it has maybe a little bit extra, but I did buy the PS5 version. Now I had the opportunity to get Elden Ring too. And I figured that I wanted to hold off on Elden Ring and get this one instead, because I haven't played the other games from the maker, what is it, Dark Souls, and it has a very, from that publisher, and from what I understand, Dark Souls, I mean, it's largely considered one of the more difficult video games to come out, the Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, and so I'm going to wait on that. But I've been hearing really amazing things. I'm hearing that the game is absolutely stunning, that it's beautiful, and that there's debating, they're like, is this the next Skyrim? That kind of thing.
Well, I mean, the first one, Zero Dawn, was so good.
Well, I'm not talking about Forbidden West. I was talking about Elden Ring.
Oh, Elden Ring.
With I think Horizon Zero Dawn could very well be. I mean, I think it's up there with Skyrim. It is absolutely one of the better games I've ever played. It's amazing. But yeah, it's just I am really very much looking forward to it, and I wasn't even going to play it until you started playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and you were like, you showed it to me, and I went, oh no, I'm going to have to play this now.
Yeah, I remember you coming over and just sitting there watching me play for a minute as I was finishing up before we do the podcast.
Show. Yeah, and I was like, oh damn, that's how I got hooked on Far Cry 5 too.
Yeah,
watching you play that, and I finally bought it on my computer and played through that.
Yep.
So anyway,
no, go ahead.
I'm just going to move on.
Okay.
We've got those video games coming up now. Earlier this week, I think it was CD posted in our Discord group about a little meme.
Renee.
Oh, is it Renee?
Yeah.
Okay, a little meme about '80s cartoon villains and which ones were the worst.
Yeah, that was the only thing I had left to talk about.
Yeah, I figured we could close out the show on that. Now on the picture was Gargamel from the Smurfs.
Yep.
Which I felt was it was kind of a lame addition. Mum-Ra from the Thundercats, Skeletor from Masters of the Universe. We also had Cobra Commander,
and Shredder.
Now I do feel that they are missing there's a glaring omission, which is Megatron. So I want to throw Megatron in the group there too, from the Transformers, of course. Could you think of any other ones that need to be on this list as well?
I was trying to think of some, and not that would have been that well known.
Right. These are the big ones. Right?
Yeah.
Those are the big ones. I mean, sure, you could go Silverhawks, you could go Moonstar from the Silverhawks, but the Silverhawks weren't quite as well known as the Thundercats, even though they were from the same production company.
And I watched that. I mean, you go early, and but I mean, then you're getting into like Battle of the Planets, but then you're getting into the Japanese, actually Gatchaman, which is what that originally came from. And then eventually, and then in the 90s, that came back as Saban's Eagle Riders. It was the exact same show, just dubbed differently.
You could talk the Overlord and Black Star.
Yeah, that was what I loved. I loved Black Star.
Black Star was a Filmation cartoon. It was a precursor to He-Man in many ways, in Master of the Universe, the way they put that show together. There's you could throw Avenger in the mix there too, from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
Yep.
But
as short-lived as that was.
Right. It was only one season. It was
2 seasons actually, I think. Yeah, no, it was maybe it was only one. It was
one season, but it was extended. It was a long season.
It's like 30 episodes or something.
Yeah. So there were a lot of cartoons back then, but I think the ones that we mentioned were probably the best examples, I mean, could you throw in Darkseid from the Super Friends and Lex Luthor from the Super Friends and Superpowers cartoons? Sure, you probably could, but those are very specific. Those were those,
and a lot of those were from the 70s, actually, more so than the 80s.
Well, the Superpowers one was from the 80s, the early 80s, because it was DC Superpowers, but the Super Friends was from the 70s for sure.
Yeah.
But like I said, Transformers, TMNT, G.I. Joe, Thundercats, He-Man, those were daily cartoons that I think a lot of Gen Xers kind of were raised on, for sure, and they were very specific for what they were. They weren't anywhere else. That was, TMNT had they had their starts in comic books and of course all those shows. I'd say the thing about all these shows is they were built to sell toys. Every single one of these cartoons was essentially a half an hour commercial for the toys for that show. Not so much Super Friends, that was a little bit different.
So, I mean, you could technically, I guess, put Dr. Claw in there from Inspector Gadget.
See, Inspector Gadget was very silly, though. It was a lot more comedy. It was more of a comedic one. And like I said, I still feel like Gargamel isn't a good addition, but I'm gonna leave it in there because it was part of the meme.
What's funny is I'm going through a list of like 80s cartoon villains, and Megatron's the number one that they give.
For sure.
Shredder and Krang are tied for second, which I was never a fan of Krang.
Nah, me neither. See, the thing about a lot of these characters too, it wasn't so much that the villain was inept. It was more that their henchmen and their organizations were inept. Like, honestly, I think if Skeletor, and we see this in the new He-Man Revelations cartoon, I think if Skeletor had better help, had better henchmen, he might have been able to do better. It might have been able to be a much more effective.
Well, it's the same thing with Mum-Ra.
Exactly.
Mum-Ra's henchmen were bumbling idiots. They were Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They were.
Yeah, exactly. The mutants were idiots for the most part, which they could never get one up on the Thundercats. But Mum-Ra was a scary villain, man. In fact, all of them were pretty scary. Megatron, extremely powerful, extremely capable bad guy. But he constantly had like Starscream kind of undermining it. And all of his other henchmen and followers fucked up all the time. Now it sure, the heroes fought against them and stuff and thwarted their plans and were very effective. But if their if their followers had just been better at their jobs, maybe Optimus and Duke and He-Man and Leonardo wouldn't have been near as successful if they just had if he had just had better help. Who's your favorite of the group that we mentioned?
I think probably Cobra Commander out of all of them, just because I liked his look before the hood. I didn't like the hood. I liked the silver mask,
silver helmet.
Yeah,
I got a buddy that's got one of those.
Oh yeah, cool. That's cool. Yeah. But yeah, he was probably one of my favorites. But G.I. Joe was also one of my favorite cartoons.
Okay.
One of the villains that's listed on this list here that wasn't there because he wasn't the main villain. He was more of a henchman though. Was Storm Shadow.
Destro. Oh, Storm Shadow.
Storm Shadow was one of my favorites. I love Storm Shadow, and the whole thing between him and Snake Eyes was one of my favorite things from that cartoon.
It's interesting. In the comic books, they later made Storm Shadow more of a good guy.
Yep, I know.
Yeah,
he actually switched sides, and
yeah, it was one of those things where he was like, I think it was more like he kind of like there was a redemptive arc.
He was misled to believe that Snake Eyes betrayed the clan or something like that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Now, see, I loved G.I. Joe, but it was one of those toys that my parents wouldn't buy me because I was already collecting Star Wars and Transformers and He-Man. And they're like, you can't get all of them. Plus, the G.I. Joe figure, there was just tons of the figures,
yep.
Tons of vehicles. If anything, probably there were more G.I. Joe toys than there were from that era than there were of any of the other ones. So I did watch the cartoon, but I didn't. I guess I think maybe because at the time I also, if I could get the toy, I was a little more invested in the show. But I did really enjoy G.I. Joe. I watched a lot of it. I never cared for Cobra Commander as much. I always felt like out of that group, he was the one that was the most, like he was the inept leader. He was the one whose plans always failed. He screwed up. And I was like, why would anybody follow this guy?
And then eventually they replaced him with Serpentor.
Serpentor. And then later brought Cobra Commander back.
Yes.
Because I remember they turned Cobra Commander, like Serpentor turned him into a lizard or something like that, or turned him into a snake. And then eventually the effect wore off and he came back and then replaced Serpentor again. Mm-hmm. And because I was always confused about that. Why would anybody follow this screechy voiced idiot Cobra Commander? He just seemed like he's a terrorist leader. He's supposed to be like,
yep,
like this, Serpentor, on the other hand, was dramatic and he was powerful. And he seemed very like leaderly.
And as CD said, Serpentor actually made Duke bleed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that the movie that had Don Johnson and Sergeant Slaughter and a couple other kind of bigger name actors were in it. Yeah, like he threw one of those snakes that he had turned into a spear and blood. That was intense, man. That was intense. That was up there with like Prime dying in the movie, in Optimus Prime dying in the animated film. I just never liked Cobra Commander all that much. Always the way he spoke, just as always, and it was the same guy voiced him as voiced Starscream too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, Destro. You know, and I thought Destro was much cooler. You know?
Well, that's that chrome dome that he had.
The mask that he wore was kind of cool, and then he always got the girl too. He had
Baroness.
He had that hot Baroness, man, just hanging.
Yeah, I
out
liked Baroness.
All the time.
I always liked Baroness.
Oh yeah, she was great. I had a friend that cosplayed her years ago. Fucking hot, dude. You know, I mean, it kind of played on that whole like sexy dominatrix thing and the dangerous woman. You know,
and then you had Scarlet on the G.I. Joe side.
Correct. Gotta love Scarlet. Gotta love those redheads.
Yep.
So, it was just so sad that the live action movie they made, the first one, just stunk up the theaters. It was really bad.
I heard the second one wasn't much better.
No, the second one was actually quite a bit better.
Was it?
It was a low bar, but it was quite a bit better. I mean, it had Dwayne Johnson in it, and it had Bruce Willis was in it, and he was supposed to be Joe. He was supposed to be G.I. Joe. And so that was pretty cool. He was like, just call me Joe. You know, and you're like, oh, because he was like a general or whatever that kind of started the program. It was quite a bit better. The first one just stunk bad. And then they also made a movie that was just Snake Eyes. They made but I didn't see that one. So, you know, I never really cared for Cobra Commander. I thought that they could have done a lot better, which they tried to with Serpentor. Personally, I think out of the group, it's a hard choice. I think the most effective one, the one that could have probably have actually won, was Megatron. I think he was scary and dangerous and powerful, and he was the guy that could go toe-to-toe with Optimus.
In the 80s, yes. In the newer ones, Skeletor wins.
Yeah.
In the first half. He actually does succeed in the...
Yeah. Now, yes, currently, like I said, it's a hard decision for me because I'm also a big fan of He-Man and Skeletor. And in the new He-Man Revelations, I mean, we talked about this. It is an excellent cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
It really, I mean,
I still haven't watched part 2 yet.
Oh man, I just thought it was absolutely spectacularly good. It's one of those things where I've talked about how Critical Role, The Legend of Vox Machina, elevated the medium of cartoon shows. Like made that show is good aside from being a cartoon. I mean, the acting is good, the story is great, and I think Revelations is up there too, up there with Legend of Vox Machina and Invincible. I mean, it's definitely a show that takes mature storytelling within the sci-fi and fantasy genre and really just improves it, just improves upon the whole thing. And yeah, seeing Skeletor actually fucking win, like, holy shit, you know, at least temporarily win.
Mm-hmm.
It was really great. Skeletor, I always thought, well, again, another example, like I was saying, if he had better henchmen. But I still think I'd have to go Megatron was probably a little scarier.
Yeah, which because he wasn't on that original list though. So
no, he wasn't. He wasn't. That's when I added. You're right. Skeletor was really, I think I put Skeletor and Mumra kind of on a similar level because they were both kind of creepy. They're both, you know, kind of had a skeletal kind of element. They both were sorcerers. You know.
Well, Mumra wasn't so skeletal once he became Mumra.
Mumra, the ever living. You gotta appreciate the iconic voices too. You know, Oppenheimer was this guy who's an actor that played him. I think his name is Oppenheimer or something like that. And he was the voice of Skeletor, the original voice of Skeletor. Now in the new Revelations movie or show, He-Man Revelations on Netflix, they got the guy back to do the voice of Merman, but to do the voice of Skeletor, we had Mark Hamill. And I was like, and he blew it out of the water. It was just fantastic. He was amazing. But that classic voice from the 80s was just so iconic. "Here, He-Man, I'll get you.
The one
King Randor, come in, King Randor, you royal boob." Just,
yeah,
he actually said that.
the one that got me as far as classic voices is Optimus Prime.
Well, of course,
and
Peter Cullen is Optimus.
Yeah, and when they got him to come back to do the voice for the movies, I'm like, you had to.
Yeah. Well, there was this huge outcry from the fan base that they're like, you have to get Peter Cullen back because that iconic voice, it was so memorable. I mean, and funny enough, it's the same guy that did the voice for Tony the Tiger for years.
They're great.
They're great. Just think about it. Listen to it.
Yep.
Next time, Autobots, roll out. They're great. It's the same fucking guy. So yeah, I mean, and the thing about like with Megatron, it was like, he was Prime, you knew he was, and that was the thing. Like you knew that he and Optimus went way back.
Oh yeah.
Like they were almost, it was that point where they were enemies, but also friends. And actually in the lore, they even show that before Optimus became Optimus, before he became Optimus Prime, he was another Autobot. It was a different name, and it was something Orion something. It was the same initials, and he and Megatron were friends, and it was just, that was cool. I mean, the lore goes way back. The lore is pretty dense, actually, particularly if you add all the cartoon stuff, or I mean all the comic book stuff in too. But they always had these. All of them had these great iconic voices. I think one of my favorite things on the Transformers was when the Transformers crossed over with G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
And it happened. Now there was a comic book where Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, Marvel put out years ago. But it happened. It was great. It was because of very subtle, and you would only gotten it if you were paying attention. It took place in the more future version of the Transformers, where it was still G1, but it was when we had Rodimus Prime, and it was a post animated film, and Spike was a grown adult, and he had his son, and so you had Rodimus Prime, and you had Ultra Magnus, and some of these other characters, and some of the Decepticons basically consulted with this human arms dealer, that he was an old man that was able to, they were trying to get something from it, some kind of weapon. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he had a face mask on. His face was completely covered, and his voice was Cobra Commander. And it's just, you can tell it's Cobra Commander, but they didn't call him Cobra Commander until the very end of the episode, where the Decepticons have been defeated in the episode, and the terrorist is walking away, and he says, "They just don't build terrorists like they used to," or something. It's something to that effect. And then he goes, and as the sun's setting, he looks over, he just goes, "Cobra!" I'm like, my, teenage fucking eyes bugged out of my head. It was like 14 or something like that. I'm like, what? So according to, the shows, Transformers and G.I. Joe are in the same world, and it's canon.
Yep.
So, I mean, great stuff.
Of those, who I thought was the coolest, I always liked Mumra.
I think Mumra was the coolest looking.
Yes.
I think he was the coolest looking. I think seconded by Skeletor. I think Skeletor, particularly if you look at some of these, like some of the art that's been done for him later.
Yeah, well, and I think that at the time, part of it too was the art style, because I'd say Thundercats was more of a refined style. Yeah, it was a lot sharper lines. It wasn't as cartoony as He-Man was.
Yeah, the Filmation cartoons were very refined, like a very hard line, because they were just turning out those cartoons, man. They were recycling a lot of stuff, a lot of I've talked about this before. Filmation was able to turn out so many episodes of He-Man because they were just recycling so much. Whenever He-Man ran, it was the same grouping of drawings. And whenever he threw a rock or whatever, I mean, just him standing there, they were very minimally animated until they had to be. So whereas the Thundercats had there's a lot more work involved with Thundercats.
What the fuck is a Samoflange?
What the I love those bloopers.
Those are some of my favorites.
What the fuck is a Samoflange? I feel like I've been shit at and hit, or shot at and hit. No, shot at and missed, and shit at and hit. And that's the other thing too. They recycled a lot of the voice actors. A lot of the voice actors did the same. There was like 5 voice actors for every character, or for all the characters in Masters of the Universe. Like 5. That was it. Thundercats also did a lot of recycling. You can even hear it sometimes. You're like, wait, that's Lion-O, but that's also Lion-O. I mean, it's not Lion-O, but that's Lion-O. But yeah, the guy who did the voice of Panthro, man, that was some funny shit. He used to fuck up lines a lot. If you look online, there's definitely like blooper reels from
yeah.
It's just the audio and stuff. It's like, there's the character did Snarf. He's doing a line and he breaks into a coughing fit, and then you hear, "What's the matter, Snarf? I have a cold." Really shit like that. So Megatron was the scariest villain, I think, and he was the one that probably could have been the most effective if he actually could win. But Mum-Ra was probably my favorite looking of the group, seconded by Skeletor.
Scariest, my favorite was Cobra Commander, but that doesn't necessarily mean he was the most effective. He was just my favorite, and a lot of times that was because I liked his look and I liked seeing him get beat up. But as far as the scariest, I would have to say it probably is Megatron, because he was that smart villain. He was that planner, and
there were several times he almost did it. He almost pulled it off.
Yeah, if Starscream didn't fuck up as much as he did.
Right. He was constantly being undermined by Starscream,
and part of that was because Starscream wanted the power.
And he wanted to be the leader.
Yeah, he wanted to be the leader, so he would fuck things up.
Yep. He, like I said, constantly undermining it. I mean, he's the one that threw Megatron, like in the movie, when Megatron's like, "I'm still alive," and Starscream does, tosses him out of Astrotrain or whatever I think it was. So he's just floating out in space, and that's when Unicron came along and turned him into Galvatron. That was one of the things that I always thought was a little bit that sucked, because Galvatron, for me, Galvatron was never as scary as Megatron was.
Yeah.
Galvatron just came across as a lunatic most of the time. He just wasn't scary like Megatron was. I don't know. It's they don't always have to make sense. And when it came to Shredder and the TMNT, as much as I like the TMNT, I don't know. Shredder just he
never seemed to be a threat.
No, yeah, he wasn't. No, not really. I mean, and I do think he was one of those guys that, if he had the right henchmen. But the thing is for me, it seemed to me that the Turtles were always just that good.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't his henchmen that was the problem. It's the Turtles were just that good and thwarted him at every turn.
Yep.
So, whereas the Transformers, it could have gone either way, depending on situations and stuff. Same thing. He-Man, you always knew He-Man was going to top it out, but because just Skeletor just had too many. You'd think that even like at least one or two, or maybe half a dozen, maybe half of them of his underlings would have been effective, but almost all of them. I like Evil Lyn was the only one that had any that seemed to be, and maybe Triclops. I don't know. There's a couple of them, but that seemed to have any kind of real ability. I mean, sure, they were good at terrorizing villagers, but whenever He-Man came into the picture, they were all quaking in their boots.
Should have paid more, better bennies.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe they just need to pay better. Just what does a soldier in Cobra Commander's army get? I mean, how much does he get? That's the other thing too, particularly about GI Joe. Where do they get all these troops? I mean, they're constantly, you got to figure, like, every time Cobra Commander fails at something, every time he has some kind of scheme or mission or whatever, and if they fail, you've got to know that he loses a lot of troops just to being arrested.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they don't get shot because nobody gets hit with those lasers.
Right. They don't die, or at the very least, if they do, it's just a stun laser and they go down.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody dies in GI Joe, so you got to figure, okay, so they're getting all these troops are getting like tossed into the clink. Where are they getting more? I mean, where are they getting more troops? Where are more people going, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, I'm going to join up with this asshole? So what are the bennies, man? Does he offer health insurance? Is it dental? Are there, is it optical? Is it something? It's got to have, you got to get paid good, paid well. I mean, something.
It's the GI Joe version of Guantanamo.
The GI Joe clink, exactly. It's all the lasers you can shoot. I mean, you got to admit, like, some of the vehicles are got to be pretty cool to drive or fly. I mean, you get maybe some specialized training. You're gonna become a specialized agent. You're gonna drive the Hiss tank, or you're gonna fly one of the fucking Raptors or whatever the fucking things they were called. But it's like, I want to fly that sweet chopper.
Yeah.
I want to be Cobra Commander's private guard and get my ass handed to me on the regular. I never got it. I mean, with the Transformers, they were a part of an army, like an alien army, and it was a political thing, really. It was very much like, okay, these are the Autobots are one faction, the Decepticons are the other faction. Cool. With G.I. Joe, they were defending American, defending the world, really, from the terrorist organization Cobra.
Yep.
And so you got to figure, okay, Cobra probably getting troops from all over the world, maybe getting recruits from all over the world. But once again, where? Like, you got to like post some fucking successes to get people to join up,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. Doesn't make sense.
All right. Well,
these are the things I think about, Chris.
Craigslist. Yes.
I think about it, Craigslist.
Thanks,
Holy
CD.
Shit. That makes sense. That's totally where they get it. Craigslist.
So, one quick thing before we wrap up tonight.
Yeah, we should. One
of the other things that I was going to bring up, Renee and I actually just watched. Over the last 2 days, we actually just watched both Venom movies because she had never seen the original Venom and I hadn't seen the second one.
I haven't watched the second one yet.
She loved them. I thought they were great. The second one is, I think, very rushed. I think they rushed putting Carnage in. I don't think he should have been in the second movie.
I agree.
Two, I think the whole way that they did it was almost Suicide Squad-esque in how fast things moved along at times.
Okay.
Not quite that way, but there was a lot of stuff that I think they could have done better. I think they would have been better off setting it more up in the second one and doing Carnage in the third one or something like that. But there is a post-credit scene that actually ties directly into Spider-Man No Way Home.
Really?
Yes.
Ties into No Way Home?
Yep.
Well, wait. In
No Way Home,
there was a post-credit scene.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Okay. But overall, Venom is very enjoyable. Tom Hardy playing Venom, because he voices both Brock and Venom. Him doing the Venom stuff is just fucking hilarious. Just
I agree. I mean, I thought it was really funny in the first one. So yeah.
well, in this one, it's even more because this one picks up really close, pretty close after the first one ends.
Okay.
It's
Cool.
really not very long after. But yeah, they bring in other characters, and they set it up for the third one. So I won't give too much away on that, but it's
cool. Well, they set up for a third one, so that's cool. I mean, Venom has never been my favorite character. I've never been a huge fan of Venom.
It basically looks like they're just going to keep running through the symbiotes.
Oh, okay. I've never been a big fan of Venom. I think he's okay as a anti-hero. You know, I always thought he was way over the top as a villain. I thought he was too, you know, I'm evil Spider-Man, you know, and kind of thing.
He's lethal protector.
Lethal protector. I thought he was by making him kind of an anti-hero, I was like, all right, you know, but then Carnage was just way too much. And there was the whole symbiote thing, it got to be a bit much. But he's still very popular. But at least the movies are cool. I did also feel that it was a mistake to make a Venom movie that isn't connected to Spider-Man.
I agree.
Because he is such an iconic Spider-Man character.
Yeah, and so in the comics, I liked Venom. When they brought him in, I thought he was great. I thought he was that completely maniacal. He was a smart villain that he used mental tortures and things like that. And I mean, he was just evil.
Yeah.
And
there was a reason, and he had reasons why. Both he and the symbiote had reasons why they hated Peter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that I thought was great. When they started doing things like Carnage and Riot and Toxin and all the like
anti-venom,
the 31 flavors of symbiotes that they wound up doing, I thought that got too much. I thought that it was that here we go, jumping the shark. You know, you took it too far. Yeah. It's one thing. It's one of those where a little is better than more. You know.
Yeah. Agreed.
But I did enjoy it. I did enjoy both movies. First one I think is better than the second one, actually. But I like the interplay between Eddie and Venom in the second one better because they know each other now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like that odd couple type relationship, and
that's what a lot of people
and stuff. So
related it to, yeah, exactly. So I'm going to check it out. I'll check it out and I'll let you know what I think as soon as I see it. Real quick, I'm just going to rattle off now to give you an update. These are all the new superhero movies and shows. I think mostly movies. Yeah, it looks like mostly movies. Planned and coming out in the next year to 2 years. Okay, we've got starting off the next one coming up April 1st, since the Batman has already come out. April 1st, we've got Morbius, which is also in the same world as
the Sonyverse.
It's the Sonyverse. We have Doctor Strange 2, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, May 6th of 22. Thor, Love and Thunder, July 8th. Black Adam, July 29th, which I'm really excited for. I'm really looking
Which one was that?
Black Adam. Black Adam.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Dwayne Johnson, and I think this is really
Did you see how fucking big he's gotten? He was a big guy before, but he's fucking enormous now.
He's probably in the best shape of his life. It's amazing. And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, October 7th in 22. We have The Flash, November 4th. Followed quickly by Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, November 11th. And then the last one of the year, we have Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, December 16th of 22, which I do find to be kind of cool considering the first Aquaman film was also in December when it was released. Coming up next year, The Marvels in February 17th, 23. That's going to be the follow-up to Captain Marvel. We have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, May 5th. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, June 2nd. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, July 28th. And then we have an untitled Marvel movie November 3rd of 23. And then additional untitled Marvel movies in 24 in February 16th, May 3rd, July 26th, and November 8th. They've slotted those in, but they just, of course, haven't told us what's coming. Now, we also have some new superhero movies that have been rumored and have been talked about that are in development. I'm going to rattle these off really quick. Amazons, which is a Wonder Woman spinoff, Batgirl, Blade, which we're aware of, Blue Beetle, Captain America 4, Deadpool 3, Fantastic Four reboot, here's hoping, Gotham City Sirens, The Green Lantern Corps, Our Man, something called Jackpot, which I'm not sure what that is. It could be the Spider-Man character. Kraven the Hunter, which is another Sonyverse one. Madam Web, which is another Sonyverse. Silk, which is another Sonyverse. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 2 to come out in I think it says sometime, rumored to be sometime in 23.
Yeah.
We have Spider-Woman, which is also going to be Sonyverse. Static Shock, an untitled Superman movie, another untitled Sony Marvel movie, so across another Spider-Man probably crossover movie, an untitled Mutants movie, Wonder Woman 3, and Zatanna. These are all in super early pre-production or still being rumored and still being talked about. So we don't have any dates on those. We don't have any firm castings. We don't have anything to really attach to. For most of those, Blade, we do have Mahershala Ali has been attached to Blade. He's playing Blade. But that's the only one that I know of off the top of my head. Full show. So a lot of stuff coming up in the next 2 to 3 years that I'm really excited about. So I don't know.
I think that's going to about do it.
That should do it. Thanks for joining us tonight. Be sure to tell all your friends about us, guys. And, the more the merrier, the more people we've got the subscribing and following us, the better. If you can't catch us on Twitch every Tuesday night here on Drinking Nerds, you can catch it a couple of days later on our YouTube channel of the same name. Chris gets the shows up as soon as he can. Yep. Guys, you can download and stream us all
right now on everything except for Tavern Nights from last week.
Good. So, but you guys, you can find us in all the places you can find quality podcasting. Guys, we are on the Google Play Store. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. We are on the Odyssey app. We are on the Samsung app.
Yeah, Samsung Podcasts.
Samsung Podcasts. And I think that's it.
Right? You say Spotify?
I said Spotify.
Okay.
Spotify, Stitcher, Odyssey app.
Yeah.
All those.
We're pretty much wherever you find quality podcasts, you can find us.
Exactly. That's what I always say.
So you can also find us on most social medias. You can follow us on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We're on Twitter at Drinking Nerds, and we are on Instagram, Drinking Nerds. And then, of course, YouTube, also Drinking Nerds. So,
exactly. Thanks for joining us again tonight, CD. It's always great to see you.
Yep. And Renee, thanks for coming out.
The Rock gives me encouragement too. So I don't think I could ever be that big, even on steroids. So that guy's crazy big. But anyway, thanks for joining us, guys, and come see us again. We are not gaming this Friday.
Nope. But so we'll probably be back next Monday with Tavern Talk.
With some Tavern Talk, yeah.
And then Tuesday for this.
Exactly. So Chris is going to come over one of these days soon and help me get set up on streaming so I can start streaming some stuff I've got. The latest DLC for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous just went live. So I'm probably going to I think that might be one of the first things that I stream. We'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I think on that note.
Until next time. Sláinte. Oh, that was a good one.
That was a pretty good one. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night.